Welcome to a new video in which we will explore the strangest places on the planet. Have you ever wondered if we really know every corner of this diverse and amazing world? Today we will take you on a tour of 10 places so unique and extraordinary, they seem straight out of a science fiction novel. From islands where people see everything in black and white, to communities where the concept of normality seems to have completely disappeared. I assure you that after watching this video, you will be amazed at what our planet has hidden. Get ready to discover what you didn't know existed. 1. Pingelap, Micronesia, the island of the colorblind. Our first stop takes us to a remote corner of the Pacific Ocean, Pingelap, an atoll in Micronesia. What makes this place so special is that most of its inhabitants suffer from a rare condition called achromatopsia, an extreme form of color blindness that prevents them from seeing colors. Here, the world is perceived in shades of white, black, and gray. Imagine what it would be like to live your entire life without seeing the green of the trees or the blue of the sea. It all began more than 200 years ago, when a devastating typhoon decimated the island's population, leaving only 20 survivors. One of them, a carrier of this genetic disorder, passed on the defective gene to his descendants, and today, almost 10% of the population suffers from it. A reality that seems straight out of a dystopia. 2. Mount Athos, Greece, the forbidden kingdom for women. We move on to Europe, specifically to Greece, where we find Mount Athos, a peninsula famous not only for its natural beauty, but for its rigorous rules. Here, for over 1,000 years, the entry of women has been strictly prohibited, and not only that, but even female animals are banned. Only male Orthodox monks are allowed to inhabit this place. To understand the uniqueness of Mount Athos, you have to know a little about its history. This enclave, also known as the monastic Republic of Athos, is inhabited exclusively by Orthodox monks. The region is made up of 20 monasteries and several small communities, all dedicated to spiritual life and worship. Although it is within the borders of Greece, Mount Athos enjoys political autonomy, which allows it to impose its own rules, including its famous ban on women. Life on Athos is like a journey back in time. The monks who live here devote themselves to prayer, fasting and physical work, removed from the hustle and bustle of modern life. Any kind of distraction from the outside, especially from the female presence, is considered an obstacle to their spiritual path. Why can't women enter? This rule, called abaton, came into effect when the Byzantine Emperor Constantine Monomachus officially imposed it. But why such a radical exclusion? The reasoning behind the ban is primarily spiritual. According to Orthodox monastic tradition, Mount Athos is considered the garden of the Virgin Mary, the only woman who, according to legend, has ever set foot on these lands. The story goes that, after a shipwreck, the Virgin arrived on this peninsula and was so impressed by its beauty that she asked her son, Jesus Christ, to grant her the territory. Since then, Athos is said to belong to her, and to honor her presence, women have been banned from the place forever. Furthermore, the monks maintained that the female presence could distract them from their life of celibacy and devotion. Living in complete abstinence, they considered that the only way to maintain their spiritual purity is to avoid any temptation. Even domestic animals such as cows and female chickens are forbidden, as milk and eggs are considered unnecessary luxuries. However, as with all rules, there have been some exceptions, or rather, incidents that challenged the norm. During World War II, when the Nazis invaded Greece, some Greek women are said to have taken refuge on Mount Athos, fleeing from German troops. Although it was an extraordinary situation, the monastic authorities looked the other way at the time. Another curious case was when a deeply religious Russian empress tried to enter the territory disguised as a man. The story goes that she was quickly discovered and forced to leave. These cases only increased the mystery and intrigue surrounding this sacred place. What is it like to visit Mount Athos today? If you're a man and you want to visit Mount Athos, you should know that it's not that simple. Visitors can't just show up and walk in. You must obtain a special permit, known as a diamonatarian, and only a limited number of these permits are issued each day. In addition, you are required to dress modestly and show a deep respect for monastic traditions. Once inside, visitors can stay in the monasteries and take part in the monks' daily activities, including getting up before dawn to attend the long prayer ceremonies in the church. On the other hand, if you are a woman, Mount Athos will be a destination you can only admire from afar, as you will not be allowed to set foot on the peninsula. However, some tourist boats allow you to get close enough to have a panoramic view of the monasteries perched on the cliffs. Although it is a limited experience, the aura of mystery and mysticism surrounding Mount Athos continues to attract the curiosity of many people around the world. 3. Longyearbyen, Norway, where it is forbidden to die. Can you imagine living in a place where you can't die? Sounds weird, right? Well, welcome to Longyearbyen, a small settlement in Norway's Svalbard archipelago, known for an unusual law: burying the dead is forbidden. The reason? The extreme cold of the Arctic prevents bodies from decomposing, which could attract disease. So if someone is seriously ill or dies, they must be transported to the mainland. Plus, this place is known for its peculiar polar night, a period of several months when the sun doesn't rise. Definitely not a place for the faint of heart. Wait a second. Before you continue exploring these mind-blowing places, how about taking a quick break to subscribe? Come on, don't miss our next videos where we continue to discover the strangest and most surprising things on the planet. Hit the subscribe button now and join this community of curious people who always want to know more. Ready? Perfect, let's move on to the next place, because what's coming is going to leave you speechless. For Miyake-Jima, Japan, the island of gas masks. We're still in Japan, but this time in a place where daily life includes an unusual accessory: a gas mask. Welcome to Miyake-Jima, a volcanic island where residents must carry these masks with them at all times due to the constant emissions of toxic gases from the Mount Athos volcano, which erupted in 2000. Since then, the levels of sulfur dioxide are so high that, at any moment, an alarm can be activated, forcing residents to wear the masks to protect themselves. Living under the constant threat of toxic gases is a reality that these islanders face every day. 5. Mount, Egypt, the city of garbage dumps. Imagine living surrounded by mountains of garbage. This is a reality in Mount, a neighborhood in Cairo known as the City of Garbage Collectors. Its inhabitants, known as the Zabaleen, make a living by recycling the garbage they collect from all over the city. Unlike other places, garbage here is not a problem, but a source of income. Although living conditions are not the best, the community has developed an efficient recycling system, processing up to 80% of the waste they receive. A place that shows how, even in the midst of chaos, there can be order. 6. Nagoro, Japan, the Scarecrow Village. In the remote village of Nagoro, Japan, the human population has largely been replaced by scarecrows. Yes, you read that right. Over time, most of the inhabitants have either moved away or passed away, and one resident, Ayano Tsukimi, has decided to fill the void by creating life-sized figures representing the people who once lived there. Today, there are over 350 scarecrows scattered around the village, occupying houses, bus stops, and fields. This ghost village has come to life in a very peculiar way and has become an attraction for the curious. 7. Cap d'Agde, France, the nudist city. In the south of France, Cap d'Agde is a seaside resort where clothing is completely optional, or rather, unnecessary. This is the largest nudist destination in the world, and here it's not just about stripping on the beach. People go about their daily lives without clothes. They go to the supermarket, restaurants, the bank, and even the hairdresser completely naked. Cap d'Agde has been a symbol of bodily freedom for decades, attracting naturists from all over the world. A lifestyle that for some is unthinkable, but for others, it is the norm. 8-star villas, Antarctica, life at the end of the world. Can you imagine living in Antarctica? In Villa Las Estrellas, one of the few civilian communities on this frozen continent, this is a reality. Although there are only a few families living here, its inhabitants must face extreme conditions, sub-zero temperatures, hurricane-force winds, and months of darkness. Due to the isolation, it has become a tradition for residents to undergo appendicitis surgery before moving there, as medical evacuation is practically impossible in winter. Living here is a unique experience in the world. 9. Coober Pedy, Australia, the underground city. In the heart of the Australian desert, we find Coober Pedy, a town where most of its inhabitants live underground. The heat on the surface is so intense that people have built their homes in tunnels and caves dug into the opal hills. These dugouts offer a more bearable temperature and a completely different way of life. Curiosities is also the opal capital of the world, and many of the residents work as miners, searching for these valuable stones while living in an environment that seems straight out of a science fiction movie. 10 Whittier, Alaska, a city under one roof. Finally, we head to Alaska, where we find the town of Whittier, where almost all of its inhabitants live under one roof. The Beach Towers building houses not only the residents' apartments, but also the grocery store, the post office, the church, and even the police station. All under one building to avoid the harsh weather conditions outside. Imagine having your entire life inside one place. You might ask yourself, why did a city decide to squeeze itself under one roof? The answer lies in Alaska's climate. Whittier is located in a region where weather conditions are extreme. So residents have opted for the convenience of living in one building. This way, they can access almost everything they need without having to deal with the elements. Here, everyone knows each other, seeing each other daily at the supermarket or in the building's laundry. This proximity has created a kind of extended family, where privacy is not as much of a priority as in other cities. While this lifestyle may seem claustrophobic to some, for Whittier residents, closeness and mutual support are an essential part of their way of life. There is a strong sense of community as everyone shares the same physical space. Despite the convenience of living in Beach Towers, Whittier remains isolated. Access to the city is difficult. It can only be reached via a 4-kilometer tunnel through a mountain, which is closed at certain times of the day. Were you as surprised as we were? The world is full of incredible places that challenge our conception of what is normal. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss our next adventures. And now tell us, which place on this list did you find the strangest? Leave us your answer in the comments. Until next time.